Welcome everyone to the Paranormal Pride. I hope everybody's having a great night. You guys recognize Ron, my co-host, and
Hello.
And he's got a kitty cat down there. So we got a cat with us as always. But I hope everybody's staying warm, dry. Please keep Pike County, Kentucky in your prayers, or my family's there, and they've got flooding there. It looks really bad. I don't know how bad it is, other than what I've seen on the news. So it looks bad. It looks really shitty. So please keep them in your prayers. Plus all those other places that got horrible snow, freezing cold, like our guests and Carl, they got really bad cold. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's horrible here. It's going to be below 40 tonight. Yep. Had to cover the plants.
Hello, Mom.
So I'd like to welcome our guests tonight. I have some wonderful guests. You guys all have met their dad, at least on the show a couple times, Rex Nielson. It's Chris's dad. And Chris and Kelly met through the paranormal. And now they're married. And they're not very good friends, but they're good friends of ours. And I'd like to welcome Chris and Kelly Neilson to the show. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Thank God Thank God that worked.
Yeah. It's always a crapshoot if everything's going to work when we try to get it started up.
Well, we're not in Vegas, so we don't do craps. We just, pray for no snow and go for it. So are you guys getting horrible weather up there?
It's very cold.
Yeah. When you said it was going to be below 40, I'm like, oh, we're 40 below with wind chill.
Yeah. Hello, Tom.
We live in the snow capital of Florida.
Tom's frozen too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a few weeks ago, we got the 10 inches of snow here, and of course it's the 500-year snowstorm for us. And somebody goes, "You just moved there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "But I lived in Kansas City for the 500-year flood and the 100-year flood." And I said, and they came 2 years apart. So it is what it is. So hopefully there will be no more snow in our future down here.
I doubt it.
I hope so. But we went to a hotel before our cruise last week, and I checked in, and the guy goes, "I've never heard of Milton until this past week." I was like, okay. Because, down there in Tampa, Milton is a whole different problem. It was a hurricane.
Right.
Yeah. But so you guys got married, and congratulations.
Thank
The
you.
pictures were beautiful. Rex was so proud, and he shared pictures of his kilt. Luckily, of not the underside, only the. So, and Chris, you looked really nice in yours as well.
Thank you.
Looked amazing. Yeah. But there was a lot of people who went all out, looked phenomenal.
Well, you looked beautiful. You couldn't have been a more beautiful bride.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I thought it turned out okay. We clean up when we have to.
You know what? I think we all do. It's just a matter of we all want to complain about getting dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of work and a lot of planning, but it was fun to see everything fall together, and lots of kilts, lots of good times.
Lot more dresses than pants, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The pant legs were lacking.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Was it cold when you guys get married?
No, honestly, we couldn't have asked for better weather. We're looking like mid-70s.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's not bad for October.
Yeah, middle of October, we got really lucky with the weather.
It was gorgeous. Perfect day.
And then you guys got to celebrate again for Valentine's Day.
We did, yeah. Just kind of got away for an evening. It's not like we're home a whole hell of a lot, but
they threatened us with a snowstorm, so we didn't want to travel too awful far. But
just get out of the house for an evening.
You are in Iowa, and they are known to get random snowstorms in, say, February, March.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we know. Every time we go across the state line, Iowa, when we lived in Kansas, we could guarantee that there was going to be snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if Josh Hurd would send us a message. You in town? Yep.
I knew it. It was snowing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No snow even in the forecast. So you guys are working on all kinds of things. I saw.
Yeah.
So what are you working on this year?
This year is a big year for video projects and maybe a new book. Hopefully before middle of the year.
That's the plan. Yeah, but
And who's doing the book, Chris or Kelly or both of you?
So it's a Traveler's Moon story. Kelly will tell you that for some reason she's going to leave all the writing to me in the process.
Because he's good at it. I mean, yeah, I'll preview it and I'll give some input and advice here and there. But like for the most part, he is the creative genius behind Traveler's Moon for sure. So, but yeah.
So you said, Chris, you do it. I got shit to do.
And honestly, she does seem to run pretty much everything else, so I have to carry my weight in some way.
This is one of the many areas that we work really well together. Is the things that he's better at, I'm not great at. The things that he's maybe not great at, I love doing, and it works well. We have our things that we manage, and but yeah, this the story that he's documenting right now is definitely an interesting one. So we're excited to get that finished up and out there.
So when did that story start?
So it actually started August 17th of last year and got over August 18th. It's definitely one of the weirdest investigations we've ever been a part of. It's the only time that either of us have looked at somebody else and been like, hey, do you think they'll let us come back for our shit tomorrow?
Yeah. Which we don't do. I mean, it doesn't matter how weird something has gotten or how unfriendly a spirit is being. We have never hit the stage where we look at each other and go, maybe we just go back for our equipment tomorrow instead. And we did. So yeah, it was a night.
We didn't go back for our stuff the next day.
No.
We stuck it out for the night, but
that conversation was had, but no, we didn't want to ever. We get asked all the time when we're out at Paracons and doing presentations, have you guys ever been chased out of a location? And we're pretty proud to be able to say, no, we've never been chased out because nothing's ever been that bad. So we didn't want to screw up our record.
Oh yeah, we have people ask us that too all the time. Has there ever been a place that you left? Well, yeah, I've left a lot of places, but not because of that. I left because it was time to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, and
I took a break after a couple chairs got thrown at you.
Well, that's a whole different ballgame. But I still didn't leave. I came back.
Yeah, just took a break.
This one we definitely took a break. We found some other things to investigate somewhere else for a little bit. So.
Can you share the location, or do you want to keep that for the book?
That's up to you.
I mean, so we've told people in kind of a public setting already. So it was the Fairfield County Infirmary.
Okay.
Out in Lancaster, Ohio.
Yeah. Phenomenal location. Just crazy interactions. So we've got
like the sort of thing where because for some reason I'm editing a movie and writing a book on this that night simultaneously because I'm glutton for punishment.
He doesn't want to be bored.
Well, I know his dad, and his dad doesn't like to be bored.
Yeah. I don't cope well with it.
No.
And now I just lost track.
You're working on a book and a film
prior to that.
Same time.
That was a segue into something. Help me. She wasn't paying attention either.
I don't know where you're going.
It's okay. Just start wherever you want
to. We'll get there. We'll get back. But yeah, it's about the Fairfield County Infirmary, Lancaster, Ohio. Started out as a poor farm, turned into, an infirmary for people with disabilities. I believe it then transitioned also into where there was some senior living. So that typical path that it takes.
Oh yeah, pretty much any like state-owned buildings.
Yeah.
Like, history.
But just some of the most, we hear a lot of stories from people in our travels and people sharing their experiences with us. And you guys have, I'm sure, experienced this too, where you hear the stories and you go, sure, that happened, and it's like, it's
weird because I remember where I was going with this. So on top of like writing the book, I'm also editing the documentary for it all, like with this, and like even to like up the last couple weeks, we're still finding some of the weirdest stuff that in between the two of us over 40 years of experience that like we've encountered to date, as far as like with the actual, like, not just the activity we experienced that night, but some of the wildest EVP that I've ever come across. I just came across like 2 weeks ago, and it all surrounded like this like couple hours over the course of the night. So yeah, very much looking forward to being able to kind of share that story.
I can't wait to hear about it. So, because I know when you have a great investigation, sometimes it takes months to get through everything.
Oh yeah.
To comb through it thoroughly to get there. And I know that a lot of people don't understand how much work it takes to dive into everything that happened in that location at that time, and then having to break it apart into little bite-sized pieces to say, that was Kelly, she whispered, or we shouldn't have had Mexican, or something.
I totally get that. If I had a nickel for every time I've been like just deceived on an audio recording by bad diner food.
Yeah, we just had that last weekend. We were doing a session, and there was a sound, and somebody goes, "That was me." So yeah,
I hate to say it, but most of our
happens.
investigations, it's me. Ron will say, "Excuse me," but it's me. So if you're ever with us and you hear a really loud burp, don't assume it's him. It's me. I'm very proud of it. I even did it on the cruise ship and got some people who are like,
yeah, you got to own up to those things. We're better
I
at
don't
than in.
care.
So no, yeah, but
They'll never see me.
yeah, they'll never see him again. But yeah, I mean, going through that is like putting together a 10,000 piece puzzle.
Oh yeah.
And the more you have, the bigger the puzzle, because we have 10 static cams now. So like,
yeah,
if we have all 10 static cams set up and we're even set up for 6 hours, which is a short investigation, that is 60 hours of footage to go through. And that's just if you're going to watch it straight start to finish. That's not having to stop, re-review, cut pieces out, try to figure out how to fit it all together. But so you have all your static cams, recorders, and your handheld cameras, and just so much stuff to go through. It takes a very
and then to go through any still pictures that you have to match that up with the timing to see if maybe there was something that was heard at the same time. I mean,
and you can't go fast because you'll miss something. I mean, if you try to listen even at 1.5 times, you're going to miss those EVP. You're going to miss that little shadow that blipped by somewhere.
Oh
so
yeah, because
you can't.
Yeah, depending on the investigation, I will like watch through because I've got at least on QuickTime with like my laptop, I'm able to like when it watches through 1.25, it compresses as opposed to cuts things. But like with this investigation, just because we know how it went, I wanted to give everything like just very much a real time viewing, and it's been brutal, but also it's produced so much that it's like, yeah, it was just like start to finish. The night was almost too. I keep going back to the word cinematic because if I were to like go out and write a
horror movie,
like a fictional like paranormal investigation themed like scary story, like there are a lot of details that we experienced that night that isn't like that's. I would toss that in there because it sounds like sensational.
But it isn't just personal experiences that we had. I mean, these are things documented,
Oh yeah.
things that
And
were caught.
That's the wildest thing too, because like Kelly had said earlier, like if somebody was like, "Oh, I've got this story," and they tell you the story, you can go, "Oh, okay, sure, whatever you say." But
Did
like
you catch any of it on video?
got-
Did you catch any of it on audio?
all of it on camera, it was
Yeah, we're excited.
And like Amber says, you can't go through it just once either.
oh no, at least two.
Yeah, at least 2. And then on the really good things, it's 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Oh, 5 or 6, and then getting like different sets of ears in on it. Some of this audio stuff that we're just kind of sifting through, which it's the last of it. It's the last of like the digital recorders. Last recording session to go through, but we had like ourselves, and then we had Maddie, her daughter, actually come in and listen to some of it because we were like, we just needed outside ears.
Yeah. And it's not like she's not been involved in this. She's my daughter. She's, of course, been growing up around this a little bit, but she doesn't review audio all the time. She doesn't hear the things that we hear. And we wanted an outside set of ears who wasn't there without any bias or feedback to say, listen to this. What are you hearing? You know, and yeah. Crazy.
I think, have I met your daughter? Was she at any of the things that we've done?
I mean, if you've been to any of the expos, she's probably been there.
No. I think the last time I saw you guys was probably, I hate to say it, but possibly DeKalb.
Yeah, I don't know that she'd have been.
No, I think that
I
was.
don't think
I
she
think that was
there.
somebody
She
else's.
might.
I think it was somebody else's kid that I met there.
Maybe
Yeah.
in Alton.
No, you
No.
guys. They didn't go to
Oh, I
Alton.
thought they did.
Mm-mm. Like so. Yeah, like I said, I think the last time we actually saw you guys would have been Alton. We might have saw you someplace in Iowa, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, unless it was one of the expos, she's not typically with
Marshall?
us.
Was it
No, they didn't.
No, I hear
You
that.
guys didn't come to Marshalltown.
Mm-mm.
And then,
Rex did?
Yeah, Rex did.
Same
That's
here.
the first time I met your dad in person.
Mm-hmm.
We were
And
at a different.
you know
event.
what?
We've been invited out someplace else. I don't remember where now.
what's funny is that today my Facebook told me it was 5 years ago that I met your dad. And it's like, that can't be. It can't be 5 years ago that I met your dad. Because it's like I've known him forever. So I don't know. It's just weird. But how long, and your daughter has been involved in the paranormal her whole life then?
Well, I mean, they're not involved.
Inadvertently.
Yeah, I was going to say not like in the way that Chris and I are, but
they have to hear about it.
yeah, and I mean, they've grown up in a house where, I mean, they go to grandma's all the time, and grandma lived in a house that had invisible roommates, and she's dealt with like me doing all the readings and all of that forever, so she knows about it. All of my kids are aware of it, but and they've been out to a few. They'll go to like retreats on occasion, or I know my oldest has been to an investigation not too long ago, and then my son's fiance actually comes out to him on occasion. But Maddie,
Not so
I
much.
don't know that she's ever really gone.
Well, that's good then. Then you had unbiased ears.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
virgin ears in this case.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that was the
Doesn't
whole point of having her come and listen, is just having somebody who had no idea what she was listening to say, "What do you hear?" You know, and
I'll tell you honestly, if when we're when we watch TV and stuff, they'll say, I sit here, the TV's right here, so I can't see the TV very well. So I'll be working or whatever, and he'll be playing a replay of something, and they'll play an EVP, and I'm like, that's not what I heard. You know, what they say it is, and what I heard. It's like, that's not what I heard. And then, or the things that I've heard, like, we heard one of these. We were watching the McPike Mansion episode. And of course, that was the same week that they were there at Mineral Springs, and, Chris got interviewed, and, Coyote Chris got interviewed. But we were at Ashmore Estates when they were filming at McPike Mansion. You know, we were asked to come out. You know, they said, "Hey, you guys can come out." And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. We're not part of it. We don't need to be there to be extra people hanging around. But we went out there to Ashmore, and we're listening to the show, and my voice comes across an EVP. That was weird because I'm sitting here. Well, not here. We were in Kansas at the time, but I'm sitting at my desk and the TV was behind me at that point. And I go, that sounded like me. And Ron rewound it and he goes, oh my God, it does.
That's what I thought too.
And
I said, there's no way it could be.
Right. There was no way it could be because we weren't there. But it was unusual for me to even hear an EVP. I've never gotten an EVP in all these years. I hear spirits, but I don't hear the EVPs. Does that ever happen to you, Kelly?
The EVP, I can't always hear what other people are hearing. The ones that I love is where I hear it and then I hear it through the digital too. But I mean, there's times definitely where we've gotten certain people's voices through and a little different because you're still alive and he'd already passed, but we were doing our public event out at Hinsdale, and Chris was outside running a group, and Dan and I were in the house, and he was running his portal, and clear as day, Coyote came through, clear as day.
Yeah.
And Dan looked at me, and I looked at him, and he's like, "That was Coyote," and I'm like, "That was 100% Coyote." So
yeah, he came through at McPike when we were there. The weekend, so we went in October, we went up to St. Louis and we went to McPike Mansion. We surprised a bunch of people by showing up. They know we were coming to town. You know, coming from here to there, it's a little bit of a drive. Okay. You know, we have to make our decision way in advance now. But we went out there and we surprised them. Well, the next weekend, David Glidden came out to McPike. You know, we got him an investigation there.
Oh, we went to Ashmore.
Well, we went, but we were at McPike. And when we
Right.
were there, Coyote Chris came through while we were visiting with David Glidden and Charlie. You guys all know him as Charles Fort. He's Charlie. And we're sitting in the basement and Chris comes through. And I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, because it wasn't, I mean, we were expecting it. Charlie knew, but David had forgotten all about Chris being part of McPike.
we've had it before though too, situations where it's not even come across DVP. We had another public event that we were hosting at Edinburgh, and there was a bunch of us sitting up at the top of the stairs on second floor, and it was myself, someone that I know very well, and actually I think it was Amy Bingenheimer, who's in chat, who was sitting on the other side of her, and we could have swore Stephanie said something, and I said, "Steph, what'd you say?" She says, "I didn't say anything." And I think it was Amy, and she's like, "Yes, you did." And it's like, "I heard you too. That was your voice." And Stephanie's like, "I haven't said a word," you know. But I mean, it was so crystal clear. It was her voice. We could tell exactly where it came from. And we're not talking like huge distances. We were sitting maybe 2 feet away from each other when this happened. So like complete mimic of somebody who was right there. And it was crazy.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we had a mimic on national TV. But, you know, unless you know what I sound like, you wouldn't have known. But you know, but we also think about how many times have we heard an EVP on TV that sounds like one of the people on TV? Think about that.
Oh, yeah. That happened a lot.
It
Hi, Irene.
It happens quite often with Ghost Adventures, or at least it used to. I don't even know if Ghost Adventures is still on. So, but you know what I'm talking about. You've probably have
Like Billy
witnessed.
Ray.
Yeah, you probably witnessed that on some of the TV shows. But of course, we don't always watch the TV shows anymore. Once you get so involved in the paranormal, those shows aren't squat.
So you guys use that portal
Yeah.
So we don't have one ourselves. We were using
Oh, okay.
well, I guess we have
We
had,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't always take it with us. But
Yeah, we
yeah.
don't always take it with us. I built one a couple years ago. It's been that's pretty interesting results out of it.
Have
Yeah.
you done anything that makes you say, hey, you need to get one of these?
I think the interesting part of the portals is that it isn't just the same generic sounds that you're used to hearing. So even like the things, the communication devices that work that actually work, it's still always the same tone that kind of comes through them. And I think with the portals, you get the different fluctuations.
Yeah, there's different resonances for something like, and I've noticed like just kind of across the board when it comes to anything ITC related, everybody's ears are a little bit different. Some people hear a spirit box very well. Kelly, on the other hand, can't stand being in the same room with one for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
You know,
I can't do a spirit box.
so if you're looking for something a little bit easier listening, I know it comes with a bigger price tag, but I know for some people it's definitely worth it. If you have the means, for as a general rule, they're just like spare guitar parts attached to a spirit box. So as long as you have like the right hookups, it's pretty easy, more or less, to throw together. The key is not throwing it on the ground more than once.
Yeah.
I wonder who did that.
Both of us, actually. That's how we know more than once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, because I have a problem with,
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
Spirit box.
We gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah, I like to use the Echo box. So does Carl. We've had really good luck with it.
Still, after all these years, they're still using it. So,
yep.
But
they had too many.
Too many normal.
It doesn't work everywhere.
So Kelly, how much equipment do you personally use, as opposed? Because Chris, I know you probably use a lot more equipment, but Kelly, how much do you use? Do you use any, or do you just use yourself?
It's going to depend where we're at. I mean, we always try to make sure that we have equipment out on top of anything else that we're sensing with our abilities, because we're firm believers that being able to back up anything that we are picking up intuitively with a device is going to help validate those impressions that we're getting, and vice versa. That if a device is going off and we can say, well, yes, there's somebody standing over in this corner, we take a piece of equipment over there and it's interacting, then we've got that double validation. But so I like to have the equipment, but there's definitely times that I can't have the equipment.
Or just like gets in the way. You miss so much, like being hyper fixated on LCD screen.
You get distracted because you're paying so much attention to the equipment, and I get distracted easily because I can't use it half the time. Or he'll hand it to me and it just stops working. Like I can't. Something about my energy breaks things, just makes it literally stop working. And he's seen that on and off throughout all of our years of investigating, but full force saw that when we were at Fairfield. So yeah.
So you ground the equipment so it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Had a situation where he'd been holding his handheld camcorder, and I'd been communicating with a spirit along with the spirit communicating with the equipment. But he hands me the camcorder and it shuts down. And he's like, what did you do? Did you push something? I'm like, no, I just took it from you, So he takes it back, gets it all set up again. He's got it for another minute or two running, hands it back to me to go do what he was going to do, shuts down again, And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Hands it back to him. He gets it all set up again. He's got it this time for, 10 minutes before he hands it back to me, shuts down instantly. It's like, I can't touch this tonight. So,
well, that's not good.
It can be a problem, but we work around it. We figure out to set things up, bring tripods.
So does that happen with the washing machine? Or the dishwasher?
Not
yet. But now that you've given that, now that you've planted that seed.
I was gonna say, God, is that why our dishwasher freaks out like it does? No, streetlights though. Definitely streetlights.
Oh, I get the street light thing all the time.
Yeah.
And even, I thought it was in Kansas, it was just because we had all those mercury lights. It's not. It happens here. All of our electric's buried. And so I never know when I'm walking over an electric line or whatever. And do you guys ever use dowsing rods at all?
On occasion. Kelly more so than me, but that's actually because I broke my humerus, no pun intended, not that funny, a few years back. And now I'm pretty prone to like tendonitis, that inflammation gets in there. My hand actually starts to shake, is why I don't tattoo anymore. Which makes me very unreliable with a with
something that you have to hold still. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He makes beautiful dowsing rods.
And ironically enough, I make them, but I don't. I can't utilize them too often.
But that's okay.
Well, I understand. I have a nice little dowsing rod collection that's dust collecting dust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already know what they're going. When I ask the question, if I hand the dowsing rods to somebody else, I already know what it's going to say, and I can tell them what it's going to say. But I have to keep my mouth shut so it goes the way it's supposed to,
Yeah.
Because you don't want to influence somebody because I said it's going to say yes. It's going to say no. Because because sometimes you think subliminally they may have some thought process that's making it do what it's doing. Oh, there you go. Kelly, can you wear wristwatch? Can you wear a watch?
On occasion, I think Chris maybe has a bigger issue.
No, mine's hotel room keys.
Yeah, your hotel room keys.
Oh, yeah, that's your cell phone most of the time.
Oh no, she's seen it go from my hand to her hand and it not work.
Mm-hmm.
That happens to us all the time.
Yeah, it's something about him just kills hotel room keys. Watches are hit and miss. It depends on what they are. Seems like with the smartwatches, I'm not having as many problems as the old, like digital ones used to. I don't know why, but I seem to not affect those quite as much.
I used to have problems with the regular watches that had watch batteries in them.
Mm-hmm.
I went through, in 1 year, 6 batteries in one watch. And I ended up buying lifetime batteries. And after that, the watch completely broke. I was like, this is so stupid. I went and buy this and I can't even use it. So, but yeah, I've had problems with that, but not, again, smartwatches, you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
My electrical system's all screwed up anyway now, but.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact a lot of analog wristwatches will, for their timekeeping, use a quartz crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, they all have.
Either
they all say quartz crystal in them.
Over vibration or too much of a grounding process.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Have you ever heard of like you're talking about having your hurting your humerus and having some shaking? Have you thought about any grounding sheets or grounding pads or anything to help with your inflammation?
As a general rule, it's not too much of an issue. A lot of the stuff I actually regulate a lot with like my diet. It's just a matter of like, if I know it's a factor, I make it difficult for myself to pick up a pair of dowsing rods, if that makes sense. If I know there's going to be that potential variable, just to kind of avoid it altogether. Kelly's having a coughing fit. She's okay.
I understand. Because we had a show a few weeks ago where we ended up talking to Kat about, one of our guests, her name's Kat, about she got a grounding pad. And she said it was helping her pain. She had broke her leg really bad and messed up her knee and all this. She said it started helping her. we talked about it, and I was going to get a grounding pad. Well, we went on the cruise. My daughter says I have grounding sheets. So we bought grounding sheets to help, hopefully, with the fact I'm going through a cycle of migraines again. It's been years, but we're going to try this. And well, years.
Going on for years.
No, it stopped for a lot of years, and then here recently it's come back a lot. And so we're going to try that for inflammation and stuff and see if it helps. So that way I don't have to take drugs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anytime you can avoid those, that's definitely best.
Yeah, nobody wants to take that crap. And I know an anti-inflammatory diet helps as well. But it doesn't always work when you're on the road.
And I do my best when we're on the road. Like it seems to be like the really small towns. Like we were just out at the Klondike Hotel out in Manila, Iowa. And Manila, Iowa is just this itty bitty town, right? So like the only option you have is bar food.
Or Casey's.
Or Casey. And actually, there wasn't even a Casey's.
No, there wasn't a Casey's.
Oh my goodness, that's bad.
That is small.
And that's how you know it's a small town in Iowa, is that there's not a Casey's. There was somehow, though, and this is a very niche, only like people in the American Southwest will understand how weird this is in Manila, Iowa. There was an Allsup's, which is this like almost New Mexico specific gas station chain.
Yes, I know.
But like when I lived down in Arizona, I fell in love with Allsup's beef meat burritos and their tamales, despite the fact they probably weren't the best food for me. So I just I ate a bunch on the way home, and I regretted it, and I physically regretted it. Emotionally, I felt very fulfilled.
Oh yeah,
but
there was one in
we talked about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we stopped at one in some small town in New Mexico, and the kids or our daughter had to get all kinds of crap she got there. And the thing is in this town, that's all that there was an Allsup's and something else. That was it. And of course, it's on the way down to Interstate 40 from Kansas, so it's a 2-lane road.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, my love of New Mexico food lies with Blake's Lottaburger.
I haven't had that.
Well, if you like hamburgers, it's a good place to go. They also have breakfast burritos the size of your head.
I can get
for $5.
Dang.
So, but yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be going through New Mexico again. From here to Vegas, it's a really long drive.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants to do
We'll
that.
fly that one.
Yeah, we'll fly that one. We drive almost everywhere.
Well, we were thinking about making that trip, but making it a bunch of stops along the way as far as paranormal, but it'd take us 3 weeks to get there. So,
and then we'd have to drive straight back.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-day drive. So, but now that I'm into rock hunting, it would be a really long trip now. It'd be more like 5 weeks.
But there'd be so many cool things.
Oh, there would be. We were just talking about we're talking about making a trip. So guys, we won't have a show next week in case you're listening to this in replay. We're not going to have a show next Monday because we're going to be going up to South Carolina. But in a few weeks, we're going up to Virginia Beach. We're going up to Virginia Beach to see.
Irene says we should visit.
We got
Japan is on our list.
And we got our passports. So
renewed.
Yes, renewed. And we're going up to Virginia Beach. And along the way, I've got a map that shows you every place that they find special rocks in the entire country. And it's like,
what should we be looking for?
Yeah, what's really special besides gold?
What should we look for other than
gold? Virginia Beach. I'm not totally sure.
I found that they have some.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Up
what
the
to look for.
I would say we're big ones. We're for some reason around Lake Michigan a lot.
Yeah.
Uperlite.
Yeah,
is
euphorites are amazing.
one that we haven't personally found yet, but we've done plenty of searching for, and it's one of those one that like is very luminescent under a UV light.
Petoskey
Oh,
stones.
yeah.
Yeah,
know
the
that.
Tusky stones. We found a beach just on the south side of Lake Michigan that it's not like a specific stone, but for me they were very cool. Just a ton of hagstones,
Mm,
like
yeah.
a ton of them. Like I want to say, but we ended up leaving with like 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was craziness.
Last time we were there.
He'd be happy if I left with just 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I came back with probably 10 pounds of rocks just from Clearwater when we were just down in Tampa. Oh shoot, it's only been a week ago. It seems like it's been a lot longer.
Yeah.
We went down there and I found some fossilized coral and some I found these really pretty blue stones. I don't know what they are yet. I haven't run them through the rock tumbler yet to find out, but there's a bunch of agatized crystals in there as well.
Okay.
And I found out after I left that some of these rocks that I was bypassing because I thought they were ankle breakers as opposed to anything else could have been geodes washed up from the hurricane.
Yeah, we've got lots of geodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never found one that I know of. I mean, I could have some teeny tiny ones out there and I wouldn't know it yet. But I did find a bunch of sandstone. So I go, Ron, look at this. I found this really neat rock. I don't know what it is. I bring it home and I'm looking at it.
I thought it was sandstone.
I go, I think it's sandstone. He goes,
That's what I
me
thought.
too. And so I took it outside and I took a hammer to it and went boom, boom, and it crushed. So needless to say, I now have something to put in the rock tumbler to help break down everything else.
If we have nothing else.
So do you guys have hobbies besides ghost hunting, investigating?
I mean, I think it goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
but we love the history of things. So even if something isn't haunted, we love going and finding out the history of the locations or going and seeing something historical. But
History. My thing is, I'm pretty sure there's a case of undiagnosed ADHD here because I'll find something that I'm very into. I'll get like hyperfixated on it for a little bit. So like last year, I got really into leather working, which that like was very much more like a crafty leather working. I want to say maybe 5 years ago or so now, I really got into making drums, and that's still something I do fairly consistently. And
So are
then,
you like us and you go all in and buy everything you need?
so, yeah, for the most part. I wouldn't say everything. There were some like heavy duty, like at the time, there were some like heavy duty, like actual like stitching machines I was looking into for the leather working. Fortunately, the drum making's very like, I just need the materials I need at the time because it's working with rawhide. So aside from like a leather punch to actually like make the holes to string it, I'm not putting in too much exterior cost of materials.
yeah,
I have no room to talk. We came back from our trip and Ron goes, do you think that little rock tumbler you have will do it? I said, yeah, it'll take weeks, months for me to do it. So he bought me a second rock tumbler.
I was going to say that was permission to buy a new one if I ever heard it. So
It was my Valentine's Day gift.
Happy Valentine's.
So it's outside running 24/7 right now. But and luckily it's not so loud that the neighbors are complaining. So we don't have to worry about that. But I have one in the garage that's running and one outside. So it's interesting to see how they turn out. But
we're definitely rock hounds as well. I mean, we'll gather rocks when we go places, or if we see like a rock shop, it's hard for us to drive by. There's one in Paw Paw, Michigan, if you ever get a chance to come.
Oh yeah, Geoscape.
It's oh my god, it's amazing. Amazing.
I've heard that there's a lot. I mean, on my map,
In Michigan, yeah.
when it shows the pins of where all these things are, Michigan is pretty much, you can't even see the map.
covered.
Oregon as well is covered. And it's like, well, I'm not going to Oregon. It's just too far to go. But we've been adding these stops along our way. So, we always add paranormal stops on our trips. And now we're adding rocks. And when we go to the beach, of course, we got to go shell hunting. Well, guess what? You might as well rock hunt while you're shell hunting.
We stumbled across a creek bed that it was in one of our travels. We just were looking at places as we were going from one spot to the next. And I can't remember where it's at, but like
somewhere in Indiana.
We just heard about it and thought, oh, we'll stop. It'll be a nice place to stop and stretch our legs. And we walked down into the riverbed, and like, you could not take a step without stepping on a fossil. It was fascinating and just, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
What part of Indiana you were in?
I want to say we're pretty close to northern central.
Because I know the Marengo Cave has a lot of rocks there, and Lake Petanca.
It was just this random creek. I think we were on our way back from Randolph County Asylum.
Is that where we were coming from?
I
It
think
all
so.
kinds of merged together eventually. I wasn't sure if that's from Gettysburg through to.
I'm pretty sure it's coming back from Randolph.
Was it? Okay. I can't
Okay,
remember.
now you said a key word there, Gettysburg. Are you guys going to the bash this year?
We are going to the bash this year. She's been asking for multiple years, and it just hasn't worked in our schedule, but this time it does. So we will be out there.
I think it may work in ours too. Finally,
Yeah, it's a great time. I love Gettysburg. Pam and the bunch that run everything are phenomenal people, and yeah, so we're excited to be heading out there.
yeah, I used to go there a lot back in the 70s. So we used to go on field trips there. I grew up in Baltimore, so and of course there's Baltimore Pike Road right there. So, but yeah, I grew up in not too far from there, and my favorite place is Friendly's. I got to go to Friendly's when we go.
That's the ice cream.
It's an ice cream place.
I was going to say, there's I'm like, I know that name. I should know.
My first job was ice cream scooper for Friendly's.
There you go.
So
yeah, I don't know that we're going to get to spend a ton of time there this time. Our schedule's pretty blocked full, but I think we put an extra day at least in there.
Yeah, we blocked in an extra day.
I can't remember for sure.
So coming up, you guys have a bunch of stuff coming up, and so you guys are going to go to Gettysburg. Do you have any other plans for paranormal investigations this year?
So investigations, I know on the books. Oh, yep, Kelly's way ahead of me. So at least for investigations on the books, like this upcoming weekend, we're going to be down at the Mason House in Southeast Iowa, an old steamboat inn. Actually kind of cool. It's older in the state of Iowa itself, which is for me kind of one of those weird little details that for some reason makes me chuckle. I know we'll be doing at least like the vendors investigation at Ohio State Reformatory for Parapsychon.
We've got one in the middle of there too. Oops.
No. Oh,
yeah, we got Rhodes
I
Hotel.
guess we're going to be at the Rhodes Hotel.
Oh, that's what I was thinking was that one. I guess that's June. I can't keep track of our schedule. This is why I have a calendar, because I know where I'm heading the very next weekend. I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, a couple Edinburgh spots, and throughout the course of the year, we're working on adding quite a few more. We're looking at a new scheduling, like a new event type coming up. We've been talking earlier about that, like you use the intuitive side or the technology side, and starting it. And I wouldn't call it a tour, but it's going to be like a series of events that we're referring to as the modern seance. We test drove it at the Klondike a couple weeks ago, and it had some very interesting results where basically we have a group in the middle doing what is thought of more like typical seance type communication, and then an actual small team on the outside monitoring with equipment, with the environment to actually just completely, like, everywhere from XLS cameras to cat toys to
K2 meters,
K2s, REM pods, EDIs.
I just had a thought. It might be good to hook somebody up to blood pressure cuff or something like that.
Yeah.
oxygen, an O2 meter or something to see if any of their bodily stuff changes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I want to do it sometime with the thermal camera setup too, because I think that will be interesting. Because I know one time I was at a show where I was doing readings for people, and I had stopped to get my aura photo taken, and I had my hand on the thing while it was just kind of calibrating and getting set. And somebody that I had read for earlier that day stopped by and just had a follow-up question. I'm like, I don't mean to pester, but can you clarify this for me? And I didn't think anything of it. I left my hand where it was, and I tapped, got an answer, gave it to her, and went on. And I looked back over at them, and their faces are like, oh, you should have seen what this was doing while you were reading, So I think it'd be fun to have the thermal camera going at some point too, and just kind of see
definitely.
what's going on around us while we're doing all that.
Yeah, so you've got the Flintstones versus the Jetsons.
Oh yeah, just kind of I had a solid tagline. I can't remember what it was. It was the spiritualist movement meets the modern ghost hunt, and pretty jazzed for those in the future. We're going to be in Eau Claire, Wisconsin for Metaparacon.
Midwest Metaparacon, I believe is the official name. I always slaughter it. I'm so sorry, Terry and Danny.
When is that?
April 12th.
April 12th. Yeah, it's his birthday. That's how I remember that one for sure.
Okay. Because I have a cousin who lives up in Wisconsin, and
she's finally getting her snow.
And I think they're finally getting snow up there. But no, she's always trying to find some event because she's in such a small town. It is a little ways. Yeah, she probably won't make it then. Yeah. With the 7 boys, she doesn't have that much time.
Ooh.
Yeah, 7 boys.
That's but the name is the Midwest Metaparacon, and it's April 11th through the 13th, I believe. And they actually invited us to host one of their public investigations that they're going to be doing. So 2 different locations that they'll have investigations going. One will be Adam Berry, and the other one is us. And then it's a mansion we've never been to before.
It's like Lumber Baron's house. A lawyer bought it, and if I remember correctly, because I did a very quick look into the history. Lumber Baron built it. A lawyer purchased it. Really dumped a ton of money into it. So it's this beautiful late 1800s, early 1900s, that Italian style architecture. Almost exactly what you think of when you think Victorian. It's got the cupola up top.
Gorgeous.
It's a whole lot of fun.
Looks gorgeous. So super excited that they asked us to do that. And so, sorry.
It's always fun when they ask you.
Oh yeah. Well, and it looks like it's going to be a great event. I mean, they've got a lot of vendors coming in. I know they've got Jason and Sherry, and I'm trying to remember who all they even have coming. They've got a pretty good line of people coming in. Adam, obviously, will be there.
It's not $200 a person, is it?
I have no idea how much tickets are.
Because I hear that there's one that's $175 a person in Kansas City.
That might be the one we'll be vending at next weekend.
About a week and a half, yeah. That is a huge event that's happening there too in Kansas City.
If anybody's familiar with the MI Paracon, that's, I want to say a few of the same organizers. And they just moved further south. So,
but it'll be Mike Ricksecker, a bunch of different people, and trying to get through the list. And it's, of course, I pull it up. But.
I mean, I recognize the names, but somebody goes, "You gonna go?" I go, "Nope. I know what it does this time." We never made plans. December through the first couple weeks of March, we didn't make plans because of the weather.
We did have that conversation when we booked this February, but we're like, we'll figure it out. If we need to head down early, we'll figure out how to head down early, and if we get stuck, we'll come home late. But
we only lived 90 minutes, less than 90 minutes from there. And it's just my reality is Kansas doesn't do a very good job of clearing their roads. And
Missouri.
I know that part of Kansas didn't, where we were at. We were
Yeah.
rural. So, but Kansas City, Missouri does a really shit job. We lived there for years too, but you know, we knew. But you know, I hope everybody has a great time, and I hope that you guys make some money while you're there anyway. Are you selling anything while you're there besides doing readings?
Actually, I don't typically do readings when we're at the Paracons. Usually between, you know, sharing our stories and what we do and having some merchandise that's for sale usually keeps both of us pretty busy. So, yeah, I will if somebody comes in specifically looking for me that says I came specifically to get a reading from you, then we'll time it right so I can step away and do a reading. But
Well, that's nice.
yeah.
So, well, like I said, I hope you guys have a great time there. I hope you guys have a great time at every place you go to, because you deserve to have a good time, and you deserve to meet all these great people that you're going to be coming in contact with. There's some really great people at these events.
Oh yeah, we have a good time. There's so many people, and it's fun to see the people come in where they're like, they're scared to share their stories because they don't want to be weird, you know. And it's like, oh guys, if you knew the things we'd experienced,
we were just in Alton
weird.
last weekend, and there was this like couple of guys that came in, like that just very tentative, like, this is our first time doing something like this. And to like just like watch from a distance them gradually get more comfortable was very cool to watch.
So where were you guys at in Alton? Were you at that Troy Taylor event there?
At the dead of winter. Yeah.
So did they take you guys over to McPike? Did they have that open up for people again?
I'm aware of.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's been
Probably
open
not.
for that
It's been a
particular-
while.
He's kind of separated from him.
Well, but she's still letting him do the
Well, I
tours
mean,
over-
I don't think they're
but-
doing tours during that, but
Well, I know that they just finished up there's only like 3 floors left. I mean, 3 areas of floor that need to be fixed in there now. But yeah, because I knew that they were doing that event there. So does it have good attendance, Dead of Winter?
Yeah, I think it had great attendance.
Yeah.
A lot of people who obviously were return people, but then like Chris was saying, the new people, this is our first time, and helping them get used to it. The presentations seemed to go really, really well, and
I know they do the June. They used to do a June event.
Yeah, they still do the Haunted America Conference.
Yeah, that was the same weekend that we would do the June camp out at McPike.
Okay.
So I got to, meet a lot of the people that would be there because, we were volunteers at McPike for the camp outs. So
yeah, that's another one that it's just never worked in our schedule to make the June event of his, but we try to hit the Dead of Winter one. Just kind of became a habit. We'd go out, we'd visit with the Suttons and celebrate Chris's birthday. And so we keep carrying on that tradition.
If you're ever in Alton and you have time to go by McPike, she'll let you walk around the grounds.
Oh, yeah. She's let us wander around in there before. And I know even before they had the first floor done as much as she does, she let us in and kind of peek around a little bit. But
it looks.
She's been doing so much work. Yeah, it sounds like they've been doing a ton of work.
It was amazing to at least be able to. Well, let's go. It's great not having to set up a giant tent for sales of stuff at all the events that we were. We would spend an hour to 2 putting up a tent for them to sell stuff outside.
Yeah.
So that was very nice.
Tents outside can go poorly.
Outside can go very poorly.
Yeah.
All it takes is a good wind, and
we figured that out.
It wasn't the wedding day, but the day after was very exciting.
The wedding day was gorgeous. We just don't talk about the day after when all 3 tents.
They were 3 16 by 32 foot tents, and all 3 of them just went ass over tits into like the nearby brush. It was
just a big gust of wind. We go out. One of our friends happened to have been coming in at that exact moment to help do cleanup, and we walk out there, and his feet are like lifting off the ground as the wind's lifted him, and it was not good. It was not
So
good.
you guys rented the tents and put them up yourselves, or?
Oh no, we were at a loss there. That we had purchased those because tent rental is apparently
God, it's
quite
ridiculous.
quite the enterprise.
Oh yeah, we
Might as well buy them.
still, I mean, obviously then we still lost money because we lost tents, but in the grand scheme of things, we could have lost all 3 tents and still saved money. So tent rental's ridiculous. It would have been like $4 or $5 grand for tents.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're sure proud of them.
Boy, I am so
Yeah.
glad that we got married in a little bitty ceremony with the 10 of us, and that was it. And
Yeah. It was beautiful.
We-
I mean,
yeah, I tell you, we tease our kids all the time about. They go, well, how many people were at your wedding? I said, maybe 10 of us, including the minister. And they go, what? Did you get married in a church? Yep. It was Memorial Day weekend. Everybody was out of town. So
yeah.
it all
It
worked out.
The people who are supposed to be there are there, and as long as the bride and groom show up, I suppose that's what matters.
Well, and whoever has to sign on the dotted line for you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it had to be the perfect wedding. We're still together 41 years later. So
We got 4 months in.
Yeah.
4.1.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter how long you make it as long as you try.
No.
Well, and that you love every minute of it.
Yeah. And we've been telling each other, I mean, like, people will ask, well, how'd you guys meet? And it's like, we've been friends for so long that I've known him forever, so
Say, known each other a long time.
a very long time, a very, very long time. So I think we'd had time to figure each other out completely before the marriage. So
yeah,
there weren't many secrets.
Well, Dr. Laura would say that that's the right way to go.
Mm-hmm.
You knew what you were getting and made it easy to carry on.
Yeah.
And it's the best. Oh, sorry,
Hey,
Ryan.
Donna. So my sister Donna's in the room.
Hey,
And,
no, it's a perfect situation. I mean, we get to travel around the country with each other, and somehow we don't get tired of each other, and we get along, and it's great.
And so, do you guys have day jobs as well as paranormal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I work for one of the largest aero defense companies in the world.
And I'm a brewer.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of weird that we're like, we both get to exercise this left brain, right brain when it comes to like what we do during the 9 to 5 versus, what we do pretty much the entire time outside that.
Yeah. It is very weird. So like my day job, I supervise a team of fancy accountants is the easiest way to explain it. Like we're number people, we're rules people, we're by the book, black and white people, compliance. And then at night I go hunt for ghosts. It's like, okay.
Okay, so
hey, Susan and Mike.
So my job is all data.
Yeah, yeah,
all data. So I work with accounting, I work with finance, I work with all these other people.
Yep.
I have to know all this stuff, and we have a meeting once a month called Ghost Stories with Denise.
I love it. It is trickling into work a little bit, but like. And his is all recipes and exact measurements and so many
precise SOPs. There's correct, there's incorrect. It's
it's all data.
Yeah, it's all data. And I think honestly it's very beneficial for like that necessary balance that you need in life. Because if you're just kind of like off in the ether all the time, you're gonna miss like what's like the more tangible experience, which is just as important. So being able to balance yourself with a day job like fancy accountant or brewer. It's like,
but we also both have ridiculously supportive people. Like his bosses have said, what if we did like a group thing maybe and for the company and you guys come lead an investigation or something. And my boss just subscribed to our YouTube channel. So they know what we do.
Yeah, they do. Mine will call me up and say, hey, this is happening. What do I do? or you know, or they'll bring it up during a staff call and put me on the spot. And I'm like, please don't do that. I don't mind talking about it, but sometimes it makes me feel like the weird kid in school again.
Right.
Oh, I'm very aware I'm the weird kid.
And
at
not
school.
everybody understands. Like, we had a great big team thing where we had like the entire group together. So there's probably 120 of us together. And we were doing this get to know you thing. And I sat down in front of this girl. She's like, oh my God, I've been waiting to talk to you. I subscribe to your channel. I watch all your guys' stuff. I'm like, shh, we don't talk about that here.
Yeah.
Like, we'll talk
Yeah.
later.
Well, during my job interview, the last 2 job interviews, it came up because when they did the background check, it came up.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah. I said, is that a problem? And
What
they
if
go,
the background pulls
Oh,
up
to
with
assume it's
that?
just looking up background if they look at your social media presence as part of the background check.
Oh, maybe.
yeah, found out I had a YouTube channel and stuff. And, they didn't find anything horrible other than I cuss sometimes. And it's like, well, but shit, damn, and hell is not really cuss words anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, and calling somebody a dick doesn't count. I found that out. but no, that's some of the things that I think is kind of neat because, in the paranormal, it's a 50-50 shot if you run into somebody who has a day job.
I have noticed that, and I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
My bills do not allow me to not work.
Like,
Mm-mm.
So that's, I know some people are retired and
yeah,
that's totally
that
acceptable.
makes sense.
I wish I could say I was retired. I'm not, but I still wouldn't spend all my time ghost hunting if I was retired. I'd still find time for that other side of my brain stuff to happen.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to be a brewer. I think that would be neat,
time.
but I don't drink beer, so it would be hard to
That would
know
be-
if it's any
that
good.
makes it difficult. It doesn't make it impossible, but it does make it doesn't make it difficult as far as like objectively like
Yeah. Have you
sensory
tried?
channels and
Yeah.
That wouldn't make much sense.
No. Have you
I need a
tried?
taster over here. I need someone to try this.
Actually, I have kind of been designated as one of the tasters to see if it passes for the non
Oh, new stuff.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a lot
So-
of craft beers and it's all delicious, I'm sure, but like I have a very small palette of things that I enjoy. So
Yeah. I'm not a beer drinker. I think the Little Miller ponies back in the 70s broke me of that. I'm just saying.
Tom will taste.
well,
So
if we had any left, I'd say we'd share one of the beers that he created specifically for the wedding, but I don't think we have any left except the can we're
No, that's-
saving.
that's all sold out.
Yeah, that's sold.
So do you have the recipe though, so you could make more when the time comes?
oh yeah, I mean I have the recipe. I could scale it down and make it at home if I felt so inclined. But which
Have
weirdly
you thought
enough,
about distilling?
actually the brewery I work for is getting into distilling. So probably in the next, hopefully a year or so. There's like a lot of details
There's
to
a lot of
iron out, like a
time.
lot of like paperwork that's way above my pay
Oh, I
grade.
know. I know.
I don't envy the owner at all for having to put that kind of legwork in, but yeah, moving into the future, that's going to be part of the job.
He's pretty excited about it.
Then you need to do illegal distilling.
Yeah, you need to do
Illegal moonshiner.
Yeah.
I asked for a stovetop still for Christmas, and Kelly informed everybody in the house, do not indulge this for him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I have family members that were illegal moonshiners that are now legal, but I also have family members that were bootleggers. So I know about that side. But what's funny is that most of these old distilleries are haunted. And I would tease people all the time that we would go on these trips and we would go on our Spirit and Spirits tour.
So when we're going through Kentucky, most of them they'd all say, "Hey, our place is haunted."
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we didn't even ask.
No.
They would just up and say it.
Yeah. Or I'd say something about, hey, there's a spirit over here. And they go, oh, let me tell you about our haunted stuff.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance to do that,
Yeah, you're rolling through Kentucky.
Oh yeah, so on the miniature version of our honeymoon, like right after we got married, we hit the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. That was
Oh yeah. Yep.
oh yeah. But you have to actually get out and like spend a night in allegedly haunted brick
That
houses on like a
might
very high end
be a
of my risk.
possibility.
If it's haunted, we don't know.
I know we
And
have. That's what I was
like,
saying
want
is we'd
people
have to have some
talking about that
conversations.
sort of thing,
so.
so there's Buffalo
Well,
Trace.
they'll have plenty of cameras on you.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's all bonded.
oh yeah.
But yeah, Buffalo Trace has a really interesting ghost tour
Yeah, they actually have a ghost
for
tour.
free.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and tastings
Four
afterwards.
Roses.
Four Roses, they had one.
The Old Crow.
Oh, the old Crow Distillery.
Mhm.
It's you guys may have seen it on
What is that now? What's
the
the name of it?
Ghost Asylum and on
Something Creek.
Dakota did it. It's Glens Creek.
Glens Creek.
We went there and I just sent an email to the guy and I said, hey, we're going to stop by. Is that okay? And he said, yeah. And he goes, just talk to my master distiller. And the master distiller and I and Ron, we spent, what was it? 3 hours
Oh, yeah.
with the master distiller. And the next year or 2 years later, we went back on my birthday. We spent 4 hours with the owner and we just kind of goofed off with him all day. And like I said, it was on with the Wraith Chasers, but it was also on with Dakota and them Destination Field.
Yeah, the owner was out of town the first time.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I remember that email.
And so that place was amazing. If it's haunted, I mean, they say it's haunted. It doesn't matter if it's haunted or not. It's just beautiful
cool.
to be there. And it's a neat place just to hang out and look
You
around.
like history.
Yeah. If you like the history of distilleries,
Oh yeah.
that one is huge in that. And then one of the fires hit right next door to them that wiped out a bunch of the Jim Beam brick houses on the other side of there.
Better.
And then down the street is the old Taylor Distillery,
Hmm.
which is now Castle and Key. That place has got to be haunted. It is one of the most interesting places that I've ever wanted to get into that I've never gotten into. So I can tell you all kinds of places to go in
Woodford around the corner.
Yep, in Kentucky. From my family lives there, so so I got to go there a lot over 30 years. So, like I said, when I started out the show, Pike County, Kentucky, that's the home of the Hatfields and McCoys.
Mhm.
That's one of the towns that's underwater right now.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So, and Donna, I hope that wasn't news to you. So,
Shouldn't have.
no, it shouldn't have been. Judy probably told her. So, so last year, besides getting married and going to the Fairfield Infirmary and getting all kinds of amazing evidence, what else did you do?
A treat.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to do in the future, much less the past. So last year for us was a big year for kind of video production. We took some time. Typically, we like to host public investigations. We like to go investigate with our friends, and we got kind of selfish, and we had set actually quite a few weekends to the side for ourselves, just for the specific point of like filming, and hopefully come the rest of this year we're going to see a lot of that actually coming out. But we hit like places like Edinburgh Manor, Malvern Manor, the Fairfield County Infirmary was one of those ones we had done, just the two of us. End of the year we investigated Billy Creek Village, which was a really cool
That was phenomenal.
experience for us. So it was
Indiana
our first
State Cemetery.
time doing like a whole town.
Yeah. Oh, like it was ghost town. He gave me a ghost town for Christmas. It was the best thing ever.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you get lots and lots of evidence at that one?
TBD, and honestly, it's tough because like that much area, like I thought it sounded cool, and then I realized for two people that's way too much like area to cover for firsthand experience.
And even with as much equipment as we have, like we couldn't begin to cover all the spots that we wanted to cover. Like we were having to pick and choose. Well, we can put a camera here, but then we're not going to have a camera to put here. And, you know, it's because it's literally a whole town. There's probably 18 buildings, something
like that. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of buildings, and that's not even counting all the land and the grounds. And it's like,
so yeah, for first-hand
cool.
experience, it wasn't the like wildest investigation we had ever had, but there's also a lot of data to go through. So waiting to, you know, jury's still out on that one, but it was one of those times where like the setting alone was just like it just made for like the best night ever.
it was really cool.
Yeah, it was just this cool like fun little adventure we got to go on where it was like just us and this whole town, and everything's like very much set up like a museum. Like the printing shop still set up like a printing shop, the doctor's office still set up like a doctor's office,
The
churches still have
school,
pews, and it was just this charming little town.
gorgeous little cabin. It was the coolest thing. So
That sounds like it should have been a tag team kind of investigation.
We went to that town that they made.
Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian, Kansas.
Yeah, there's one in Meridian, Kansas
That
that has a general store, a school, church, something else.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
And he was going somewhere for
Made a little
work,
town.
and I rode with him, and I made him stop.
Mhm.
No, I told her I keep driving by this. I said I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So let's go out there.
and as soon as we got out of the car, some person comes out of the building and starts talking to us and showing us all around. They said people don't usually stop until they have an event there. So
Yeah,
Like-
I know we'll be heading back to Billy Creek this year because they're doing a Paracon there, so we'll be there for that. But
Oh, good.
definitely, we've talked about wanting to get back and do like an actual investigation and taking more people with us because it's
Yeah.
too much for
For
two
just the
people.
two of us.
But I had to do it again in a heartbeat. It was so much fun. It was so much
It
fun.
is.
But
I tell you, those ghost towns, and I know when Chris was doing all his nomad stuff, he
Mhm.
got to witness a lot of ghost towns in Arizona and New Mexico.
Mhm.
Those are just amazing, seeing our history, you know, now and only imagining what it would have looked like
Yeah.
back then.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And
So, that Route 66 stuff is truly interesting,
oh yeah.
at least to me.
one of the other cool ones that we did last year that we get to do again this year is our Spook Cave public investigations that
Oh,
we
yeah.
do. I'll let you explain it
I
mostly.
say
'cause
this
I don't
last
know.
year was a cool one for Spook Cave. So during all those travel times, I'd always come back to Iowa, and like my thought of it like more like a home base, just so I could be close to family and stuff over summer, was Spook Cave and Campground up in McGregor, Iowa. And if I were to build like a ideal haunted location, I didn't realize like Spook Cave would be the place, but because it's just this gorgeous little like campground up in the bluffs in the Driftless area, northeast Iowa. But it's got a long, weird history. The cave itself it's a limestone bluff that you go into, which is going to be great for retaining that psychic energy. There's a spring that comes out of the back of the cave that's providing the energy for the cave. You know, there's a ton of indigenous cultures all over the world that think of caves as thin spots anyways. And Spook Cave is just one of those places that like really kind of confirmed that for me. So fortunately, having worked up there for so long, barking up a tree for quite a few years, they let me host the first ghost hunt back in like 2019. 19.
Was it 19?
Yeah. 2019. And Kelly and I just kind of been keeping the trend going, but it's yielded so many cool results.
Oh gosh, that's so cool.
And if the cave itself wasn't like beautiful enough to just kind of go through, because it is a flooded cave. The reason we're the ones that do the ghost hunts is because, as far as I know, I'm the only investigator that can actually like navigate the boats through a living cave to get to.
Yeah, it isn't as simple as just driving a boat. You have to be trained to go into that living cave environment. You have to know where you can touch, where you can't touch, where you can turn, where you're going to
Yeah.
bottom the boat out. I mean, it's a lot of training to be able to go in there. So like, it's an event that we run, but if he's ever sick and can't go, guess what? It's not going to happen because Kelly can't do it herself. You know, Chris is the only person who can do that. So
Like that last year was like a really cool year for actual results too. So when we get to the back of the cave, we always like playing with this concept of using the sounds of the cave as more of an ITC device. And we'll actually hear like full conversations come out of the back of the cave. I've gone to the back once and like it sounded like there was a party going on back there.
we've had instances of it's a running spring. So the water's coming out of there, something like 100 million gallons a day or something. I don't know.
That's a whole lot.
I don't know. It's a lot. There's a lot of water. How many gallons is it? You know
I
this.
want to say it's close to 1 million, but that's
100 million is a whole lot more than that.
is
Anyways, it's a lot of water coming out of there. So there's a current. So if you ever don't hang on, your boat's going to float out of the cave.
I've learned this the hard way.
Yeah. So we're at our stopping point doing our investigation, and you can let go for a second or two, but there's a bar that he hangs on to. And so we're sitting there, pitch black. He'd been hanging onto the bar. He let go of it. He went to reach the bar again, and he can't find the bar. And he thinks, we floated back out. So we turn a light on. We had floated upstream about 15 feet.
Correct.
Upstream with a completely full boat, which is 12 people. And it's just not possible. And like, we've had the boat rock, we've heard the voices, we've seen the shadow people in the cave. It's been so cool. Oh, I'm looking forward to that event every year.
The water, the sound of the water hitting the water doesn't cause problems hearing the voices.
Not necessarily. It's a very interesting phenomena to experience, because when you hear, because there are sections of the cave, they're called lifelines, where basically water is kind of perpetually coming down through, and that makes a very distinct sound. It reverberates in a way that like you identify that as like, oh yeah, that's definitely water dripping. Mm-hmm. But then there's this thing that carries over, and it's very flat, and it's almost like in the same way, like I compare it to like how we listen to ITC devices, where yes, you're hearing the of a spirit box or the random warblings of some of the like more for software-based ones like Phasmabox. But then there's this thing over the top that doesn't reverberate, but it very clearly is a voice, and it doesn't echo in the same way when it hits your ears. We get people like all the time, like that's definitely something.
And it's so much fun because we'll get to the back of the cave and we'll go dark and we'll have them just listen for a little bit. And I'm like, so you guys are hearing the people, we are in a campground. There's hundreds of campers out there. So it's this time at night. Obviously they're still awake. So are you guys hearing the campers? Are you hearing the conversations? Oh yeah. And it's like, we're 120 feet underground. There's no possible way that we could hear those campers. And oh, by the way, we're underneath an open field. We're nowhere near where the campers are. There's nobody around where we're at. So, but it's just super cool to hear those.
Not voices. To say that the cave itself doesn't throw noises that are like, they sound interesting, and they, like, some people think they are things, but
you get used to it.
I was saying that's where it's kind of tough for me, because as somebody who's been in and out of the cave like well over 1,000 times, I've kind of got the ear for what is and what isn't.
Right, because you'll hear that big plop.
You get the ear for it.
Yeah, and so you'll get this big plop, but you know that was a buildup of the water in a crevice that it just finally fell over, and you're like, oh yeah, I know it sounded like somebody threw something, but that's this. And yeah,
it's always important for people to hear that you're debunking as you go along, because you don't want people to leave and go, I heard somebody threw something, and you're like, no, it was water.
It was just a normal sound.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is if it's not your environment, you don't and you're not familiar with it, it could sound like something else.
Oh, totally. There's some
definitely
wild sounds that come out of like that kind of it's like even acoustic environment, much less the ambient sound that it makes. So yeah, it is tough. And for me, like it's just as important to debunk as to recognize when things do happen, because it's cool when we have that paranormal experience, because it's that brief moment where we're kind of tethered to the other side. It's like, okay, this is very exciting. But those things get to be a whole lot more magical when you're able to realize that can't be anything else.
I agree. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming on. Where can everybody find you?
That's all you.
That's all me. All right. So you can find us anywhere online at TravelersMoonPara. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's YouTube, that's TikTok, and that is www.TravelersMoonPara.com. The website's where you're going to find links to all that social media, as well as event like merchandise, event tickets like Spook Cave, which we just posted last week. Things like the Intuitive Retreat that are sold out for this upcoming weekend, but I'll have more.
We have another one we'll be announcing
soon. And then, yeah, in person, we'll be in Bensport, Iowa this upcoming weekend, Kansas City, Missouri the next, and after that, it gets hazy. I know we'll be places, but
Well, hopefully we'll see you in July.
Yeah.
In Gettysburg. And if not, we'll see you somewhere.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because we moved to Florida doesn't mean we're never coming back.
And we were just actually having a conversation like the day before last about like how we need to get down to St. Augustine.
We have some friends
So
heading down to
maybe
St.
pass it
Augustine.
through.
I'm very jealous.
Well, we're what, 7 hours from there?
Five. Yeah.
5.5. My cousin lives in Flagler, and a good friend of mine just moved to St. Augustine, and it's on my list of places to go. So
Yeah.
we're in Pensacola area, so
Oh, okay.
we're almost in Alabama.
Gotcha.
But it's close
But
enough.
not.
It's close enough, but far enough away
Right.
to get the tax benefit of being in Florida. So, but
We're on the nicest beaches
yes,
in the country.
the Emerald Coast is very nice.
What
I
is
have
that
to say.
cat?
What is
She's getting comfy in the chair.
our cats are acting weird. You guys got to see 2 of them. There's a third one that's being a pain in the rear end right now. So
Oddly,
She's
Lechonk
been
is
quiet,
been
yeah.
quiet. We have normally like when we do a podcast or
Yeah, they're right on your lap.
Oh yeah, she's like
Yep.
she's got to be in the room.
Go time.
yeah, ours, as soon as they hear,
So I had to get this one some treats to get her to back off.
as soon as I bring up the cameras, they're usually here.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I hear Carl say, "Hey, Denise," there they are. So, but guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed tonight's show. Please find Chris and Kelly at TravelersMoonPara, and make sure you follow them. They got all kinds of stuff that they share all the time. They're very knowledgeable of all kinds of things, and can't wait to visit with them in July in Gettysburg. And I hope you guys have a great week. Please keep my family in your prayers, as well as everybody else that's affected by this horrible weather that's coming and going all over the darn place. And I know that I'm focused on my family, but I'm focused on yours too, guys. I'm praying for everybody. So please keep everybody in your prayers. There will be no Paranormal Pride next Monday. We are going to South Carolina to see our grandkids. So you guys see us on Tuesday. So join us tomorrow night here at 5 p.m. Central with Carl, Ron, and myself for Paranormal Nation Radio. And you also can find us at Things Network, and where Ron and I are part of Things Networks of Florida. Things of Florida. I don't say that much. Let's see. Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment, Paranormal Pride, Bill of Rights Network, You can find me on the Paranormal Pride on YouTube. And it looks like we're on Born TV on Rumble. So make sure you're checking us out in all those places. And for those of you who are listening on LinkedIn, thank you so much for listening on there. And if you guys have any questions or anything you want to tell me, please contact me and let me know. But you can also find us on Dark Realm TV, on Roku and Fire Stick. So make sure you're checking us out there. Dark Realm is an app out there that people are loving, I'm hearing. It's $4.99 a month, $49 a year. So check that out. We're just one of the many shows on that network. So thank you guys for letting me give all that stuff out. So you guys have any last words before we hang up?
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No,
Thanks for coming
thank
on.
you guys, and
Stay
congratulations.
warm.
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting married, and I hope you guys last as long as we have.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So good night, everyone.
Night.